child is in the mother's womb only, from that time itself the child is moving. You know, that goes with the age-old aphorism, that is Charaiveti Charaiveti, which is a very old 740 BC verse which says that you have to keep on moving, that will give you a longevity. So, moment the baby is born, he is going to move a lot, and roughly by the end of 3 to 5 years of age, he will be able to climb up and climb down, will be able to ride a tricycle. So by the end of 5 years to say 7 years, a child should be having a lot of activity, at least 180 minutes of activity in the playground or in the locality or with the peer group or with the family, friends. Sports is not going to be a medicine for that child, but the sports is going to be a literacy. It is going to be like literate culture for that child, family, teachers and surroundings. So it will involve a lot of games, plays, maybe slide, maybe swing, maybe Roman ring, maybe swimming, just hopping, maybe local games which traditionally are there in Indian culture like ticker billy.
Most important thing when you want to move or any form of exercise, you need energy. So with energy comes your intake of the macronutrients, which is your carbohydrates, your proteins and fats. Now when we divide it in your pre, during and after. So typically 1 to 4 hours prior a workout, your glycogen stores need to be adequate. You need to have good energy. You should not feel hungry during a workout, and at the same time there should not be any GI discomfort. So in such case, it is important that you replenish with a good carbohydrate. So typically around 1 to 1.2 grams or 1 to 4 grams per kg body weight is what is recommended, and not going very high on the fiber load at the same time, which can cause a GI discomfort. Somewhere the protein also may play a role, going up to like 0.3 grams per kg body weight pre or post workout can be given. Not keeping the food very high on fat, because that can lead to sluggishness or sleepiness during the workout, low energy profile. But definitely you need some form of oil which may go in any kind of preparation. Like for example, if you make a poha, for example, if you make like a dal rice skin, for example, you need some amount of oil will go in. This is pre-workout. Then comes during the workout. Now, if your workout is lesser than an hour, then during the workout you may not need just hydrating yourself with adequate water will be enough. But if a workout is beyond an hour, less than 2.5 hours, that's where the hydration also becomes equally important. So hydrating yourself or even having carbohydrates ranging from 30 to 60 grams, which will be helpful. And if you're cycling, then every 45 minutes you're replenishing with a carbo load, like a laddu can also be taken in. However, there are workouts which will go beyond 2.5 hours also when they are training for like a marathon or maybe a triathlon. In such cases, I think a drink will also help, where you're replenishing your electrolytes, you're replenishing the fluid lost also. Some simple.
The body requires fluid.
Yes.
Pain is a signal that there is something wrong somewhere. Be alert on both. So when to have fluid? Thirst is a signal that your body requires fluid. Right? And just to simplify more, you have a 2-wheelers, you put petrol in it and go. But if you put kerosene, it will still go. There will be jerky moments. So the right fuel for the performance, the best fuel when you're doing sports is carbohydrate. And the best fuel to recover at night could be protein. So during performance, going for sports have high carbohydrates. And when you are resting for the evening, so I always tell the sportsmen, let your day be carbohydrate, let your night be protein. So you recover from all the injuries and your tissue recovers. Thanks.
Good
evening everyone. Thanks to the organizer, Nanavati Max and the panel. Yes, recovery is something very important, and nutrition plays a very important role. Here in India, basically, we have a lot of good sportsmen and athletes who trains, and we have a lot of talent, but where we lack is knowledge. So in my opinion, we have specialists, like we have nutritionists, and the parent or the sportsman should go to them and take the proper nutrition plan. That is what I say. As a sportsman, I know what to take, but that is good for my body, or probably the 2 or 5 people or my swimmers whom I know. But as we all have a different fingerprints, so all the bodies are different. So all the body requirement as per the sports they do is very different. So I feel one should take a professional help, and that is very important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Think 3 to 4 hours every day. They all the 8 teams had deficiency in vitamin D3 and vitamin B12. So ma'am would talk more about it, how we all should get it. But all the sportsmen, after that we have done randomly on many sportsmen. Vitamin D3 takes care of your bones, and vitamin B12 takes care of your muscle and nerves. I prefer a sportsman to have B12 between 400 and 700, and I want them to have their D3 between 40 and 80. So there are a lot of supplements which she can talk more on it. But this is what is one of the problems. So what you are asking about test, definitely this is one test for every sportsman, from child to those who are even 80 years old. We have some of us Indians, I would say more than 60% of the Indians have deficiency. Right? So then the next one that comes is magnesium, which is going to help you to recover. And you don't need to go for anything great. Chana, the normal chana is high in magnesium. Pumpkin seed is high in magnesium. So see that it is part of your diet.
Thank you.
I think one of the additions is also what I have seen is a lot of iron deficiency. So that also needs to be monitored while the vitamin D is looked into. So whether they're not iron deficient.
So once in a year is fine. I mean, if you do this, the health checkup or all this, like once in a year is
At least every 6 months. Because when we have given an injection form, argentol, which we give it for 6-pack unit for D3, methyl copal, usually I take once in 4 months, both the injections. So it works for 4 months. So I would say the fastest way to get it injected, if not then argentol is in syrup form also. And of course in non-veg you will get good D3 through paya soup. And B12 will come to mutton. Chicken for me is no value. So those who have put your children on chicken, chicken is only steroids. Pumped on the day one, so they bloat. So it has got no. And we have done a very nice survey on chicken. Welcome, sir. You're missing me. So the best is, I would say, 200 minus your age. So if you are 60, you can take your pulse only till 140. After that, it is a danger zone.
Before we take further questions,
I think first you come. I look at cycling only as a fitness activity. It's more than a fitness activity for me. It's more of commute. Okay. I think there are a lot of problems with first infrastructure, road safety. Second comes yourself. So mainly you don't know how to cycle. You stop cycling after school. So you're 30, 40. You can't really reinitiate an activity. And the third comes our weather in Bombay. So it is a hot, humid climate. So cycling as a full-time activity is difficult. But I think for a hobby in the morning, cycling is one of the best cardiac exercises because it doesn't give you much of knee stress also. So I think cycling is a very good exercise for a morning cycling or any kind of exercise.
Right. Thank you, sir.
To buy. So I think that is not exactly a very important question. Even the simplest, cheapest cycle is enough to start because 90% of the people who start cycling give it up in 3-4 months. If you go to any building, you will find at least 20 cycles lying and rotting there. So don't really invest in a very high-end cycle beginning. If you do it consistently for 6 to 8 months and if you fall in love, then you can go for a higher cycle. And second comes safety. So you should have your front and rear lights, you should have a reflective jacket, a helmet, of course you must have. And you must learn the road etiquette and you must learn to share the road with motorists. You are not going to get a road where there is only you. It's not going to happen. So you must be able to use road signals, hand signals, communicate with other motorists and make cycling a more safer activity.
Thank you, sir. The next question is for Dr. Gautam.
So that's a very difficult one because it depends upon the ability of the athlete. So you have recreations and you have athletes. And athletes who push themselves to the limit. And that limit is way higher than what an average people has or a recreational sportsman has. So the simplest thing to do is, say suppose you're a runner and it is something that you started recently. So you run for 4 kilometers and you suddenly realize, and that is a recreational runner I'm not talking about a novice, because you'll probably be panting at about 500 meters or 1 kilometer at the max. And then, as Sir said, you check your heart rate. You have a watch or something that will tell you what your heart rate is. And if you are at 160, 170 odd, you stop till it drops down to 140. You see how much you ran, the distance and the time, and you run again till it reaches 140, 160 again. And if that distance keeps reducing, at one point you realize that you can't run more than 30 seconds or a minute. You need to stop. Right? Because beyond that, you are getting into the last bit of reserve that your body has. At that time, you have to just stop, build your reserve again, come back the next day, jot them down, and start again. And you will realize that in, say, a 6 weeks period, your duration suddenly increases, your breaks reduce, and the amount of kilometer that you're traveling increases. And then you can start looking at the time. And there are people who say, I want to do a marathon in X amount of time. You've got to be mentally, physically ready for it. It is not that easy when we hear in the paper that somebody has done the Tata marathon in X amount of time. And they train like hell. They are athletes at a different level, with different mindset, different level of physiotherapy, different level of nutrition that they look at. So I think there are different things, and we cannot be comparing apples to oranges here. We have to look at what are you looking at, what level are you, and what is right for you. And I think heart rate is a very good indicator. When I exercise, even I look at it. So I say, okay, I'm 160, I stop. No matter how much internet tells me to. I will stop at 160. And then I'll wait for it to go down to 120, and I'll restart the same schedule again. So that goes for every sport.